thanks for joining me again. I'm Tony and I'm still trying to build this tank. This is really pretty much the third day of build and I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and I'm really looking forward to this particular next stage of the build. So I'm going to concentrate on building up the upper hull and finishing off the exhaust manifolds and parts on the back of this, installing the front gun deck, and that's about it. So I'm gonna spend probably the next 4 hours trying to find all the bits and components and fixings and fixtures, and then I'll sort of start the build. But I just, you know, if you're doing this and you are contemplating buying an Armortek tank, and if you can afford to do it, I would do it. But I would follow the instructions. I am doing it verbatim. I know experienced builders will probably look at it a different way and build it in a slightly different manner, but I'm not as experienced as you guys, so I'm doing it as per the book, and it's working out so far. Fingers crossed, so good. I mean, I guess very soon I'm gonna have to think about painting and preparing the base metal, ready, cleaning it up, ready for priming and painting, but at this stage I'm not going to worry about that. I'll come to that some way down the line. But I'm going to go now and sort of assemble all the components, and I'll be right back. Thank you. Well, actually, that didn't take too long at all. Probably about 15 minutes. But even so, I think what would really help if on the instructions, if Armortek ever could get this or listen to this, I'd have a little table here on the page, just listing out what fixings are required and how many. Otherwise you have to basically go around and try and work out how many you want, because the last thing you want to be doing is in the middle of the build try and find an odd fixing that you haven't peeled out. But anyway, that's a very minor observation. So that was very straightforward. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to sort of assemble the last pieces of the exhaust and going to follow it exactly as per the instructions. This should be straightforward. I've elevated it. It's just to make it easier to work on, and I've just got my tools, so simple tools. Again, long nose pliers, little socket set. I've got some Loctite super glue and my Allen keys. So hopefully this is going to be very quick, but I'll speed this up anyway and we'll catch up afterwards. Thank you. Well, that's that part done. Reasonably straightforward. Couple of minor difficulties which I'll go over with you and how I got around them. But on the whole, it was very straightforward. So the first one was there are two discs which are in the instructions here, these two discs here, and they simply ask you to Loctite glue them into the underside of the main exhaust inner tube here, which is fairly straightforward. However, the discs, because of the machining process and casting process, don't necessarily fit very well. I might be unlucky with this, but you may not have that issue. Very simple fix. I've got a desk mounted or a bench mounted Dremel with a file, like a metal rotating file on it, and I just use that and I spun the disc round to take probably about 0.5 millimeter off the full circumference of the disc, and they fitted in perfect. No problem at all, just simply super glue in. The next thing were the manifold covers themselves, or the exhaust manifold covers. I think the problem with those is that they're stored inside one another, and the inner one obviously pushes the outer one out a little bit. Although it's mild steel, and it's got a little bit of movement in it, but it's still quite tough. And especially when it's going around or wrapping around the armor, or the exhaust armor pocket thing here. So I got around it by using some clamps and desk vices, and it worked well, but it took a bit of a struggle to get it round. And in doing so, I've probably gone ahead of myself a bit, because at some point down and ready prior to priming and painting, I was going to start sort of battering these up a little bit to make them look a bit battle worn, because obviously these are pristine now, but they wouldn't be pristine because of, obviously general wear and tear and battle damage. So by using the vices, I've inadvertently sort of started to crease these, and I quite like the way it looks, and I will continue, before I prime and paint, to put more dents and maybe put a hole or two in them, sort of shrapnel damage, that kind of thing. So that was that, reasonably straightforward. As I said, I'm now going to go on and do the upper deck, and sort of spend the next 2 hours of my life finding fixings, I guess. And I hope you enjoyed that part, and I hope you'll enjoy the next part. And again, my kids keep saying, if you like this, subscribe, thumbs up, whatever that means. I haven't got a clue. I'm sure you do. And we're going to go off now and find all the other bits for the upper deck, and I'll be back soon. Thank you. Okay, well, that wasn't too problematic. I've managed to find all the fixings. There's only three types of fixings on this one, which is a relief. The main bulk of this build for the upper hull is the two side armoured pannier panels, the two internal bulkhead panels, and the previously constructed glacier panel. Now, during the construction phase, the instructions are quite clear from Armortek to leave these elements quite loose. I guess there's a reason for that, and that's because it'll make easier work when we come to try and assemble all these pieces together. So I'm going to crack on now and build this part, which is part 7. Already part 7. Fantastic. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with this and see how we get on. So thanks again.
comes to another little problem here, building or assembling the final part of the top section of the hull. These folded metal plates here, there's a bit of a flaw in the fabrication. This side was fine, but this side I'm going to have to use my Dremel to just sort of cut a piece off. So I'll carry on doing this, and I'll see if we can sort this out using the simple tools. I can see there's a sort of probably about 2mm gap. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll put this on its side, and then we'll sort that out. Really pleased with this progress today. Pretty straightforward bit of building. A little bit of fabrication needed to be dealt with here, just to cut down and trim this metal sort of shield which goes over the tracks, so it could all fit in and go square. Again, I just used some clamps to get it all square and lined up to be able to get all the fixings in place correctly. Really enjoyed today. Really enjoyed how this went today. I will say it's getting heavier and heavier, and it's becoming a bit of a chunk to manipulate. So I'll say it again. This mobile bench has been invaluable today. So tomorrow, or the next time we see each other, I'm going to go on to some of the detailing on the lower hull section, and we're going to try and have a go at doing the drive case assembly. Again, I've done a bit of research on YouTube, and I think that you need to do that because it's not that clear and not that detailed on the instructions. But with these and a bit of background research on YouTube, I'm sure I'll be fine. And if you want to take this on, you'll be fine also. So so that's it for today's session. Again, I'm Tony. I'm trying to build a tank, and if you like this, subscribe, thumbs up, like, whatever that means. Thank you.